'Tis a fine foggy night tonight, and I doubt if anyone has ever told you of the marvelous fogs we have in Aberdeen.
Oh, God!
Eugene.
Bakersfield.
Los Angeles.
San Francisco.
He wasn't giving me my props in Oaktown.
Portland.
Los Angeles.
Los Angeles de California.
San Francisco.
San Francisco.
You gotta find your Irvine.
Irvine?
Hanford.
Hanford.
Eugene.
Seattle.
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 Sacramento.
Fresno.
We're going to Vancouver.
Modesto, California. San Diego.
Gina.
You know, there might be an opening for a manager in Visalia next spring.
Yakima, right?
Vallejo, California, the V.
Okay. Welcome to West Coast Sojourn. Welcome to West Coast Sojourn. This is Donnell Alexander. I'm here with
Lev Anderson right here. We're in Portland today.
Yeah, and we're talking about martial arts, but also film. It's the most intersectional episode in a series of intersectional podcast episodes. Do you watch martial arts movies? Did you as a kid?
Yes, I wouldn't say I was a martial arts nerd like somebody like RZA or anything else, but there was a theater, now it's a sushi restaurant, but it used to be a movie theater down the street that would play a lot of martial arts films. So I saw a couple there. You know, we would still rent movies back then. So, you know, we would watch it. And one of the first movies that I made was a martial arts movie. Just me and my friends, because I had a video camera growing up, and we had a couple fight scenes. One where I took a guy out with a pair of chopsticks. It was pretty fun.
Well, I'm sure it would never make even the first cut of the film that our guest this episode is talking about. We're talking about the great Bruce Lee with the spectacular author Jeff Chang. You're familiar with Jeff's work, right? You had him in the Fishbone movie, didn't you?
Yeah, well, he didn't make the cut, unfortunately, but we had a great conversation around music. Jeff was initially known through his hip hop work and Soulside's record label and his journalism, including that great book "Can't Stop, Won't Stop," kind of this history of hip hop.
Yeah, and we spent some time talking about Northern California hip hop, our old stomping grounds, UC Davis's KDVS and KFSR Fresno. When I was a DJ at Fresno State, I was something else, the DJ, and we had this thing. My DJ, I had a DJ for the DJ. Richard Mixon was the DJ. And Richard Mixon had this thing he'd do with a bunch of turntables at once, and it was real. Do you know Bob Mould from Husker Du?
Yeah.
I used to do the Bob Mould traffic copter, and I just like that. That was my gimmick. But the whole UC Davis thing is a spectacular moment, I think, in independent hip hop, and I didn't know that this guy Jeff Chang would go on to do such amazing work. You know, what did you think of the book? We both have read this great.
I haven't
book.
Finished it, but I've been really enjoying reading it.
We'll say the title: Water Mirror Echo.
Water Mirror Echo, Bruce Lee and Asian America? Is that
Bruce Lee and the Making of Asian America? It's so much more than a book about Bruce Lee. It's about us indirectly in the way
it's about Americans, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and how they have tried to control the image of the Asian American. I think that'd be part of it. What a huge change in perception that Bruce Lee represented, and I had to ask, of course, why black people love Bruce Lee so much, because I haven't done the analysis. I've just been busy liking him. Did he function that way for you back then? I mean, you're younger than me, but
Bruce
how
Lee,
did he exist in the culture when you were coming up?
I think it was kind of similar. You know, like you want to see somebody kick some ass, you watch some Bruce Lee. I don't think I was, you know, picking up on the cultural ramifications of his work or what he was representing or anything like that. But yeah, you know, it made you think, oh, well, better not fuck with some Asian dudes. They might, like, you know, kick your ass or something. Not like I was fucking with people, but, you know, I mean, that was probably the typical white boy response, right? It was like all of a sudden, oh, don't bully that kid or something.
Yeah.
But I mean, I also remember watching They Call Me Bruce at one of my birthday parties, which was kind of the spoofy version of a Bruce Lee film,
That would be early 80s, right?
Yeah, early 80s.
Yeah.
So.
I think one of the things, there's so much to talk about. It's a very thick book full of history. We didn't talk about the knockoff Bruce Lee's, like Bruce Lee. When he died, there was a whole spate. I watched a documentary last week, a really bad documentary about Bruce Lee and martial arts phenomena. But Bruce Lee was the knockoff that came after, and so many of them came after until you got to Jackie Chan, who was a star in his own right, and really took what Bruce did to a whole different level. But the point I was making is that for me, like you'd have the Parliament Funkadelic on the wall. If you were like a black kid in Ohio who was hip, I mean, it was not my age, but my uncle's age. If you were like a teenager in 1973, you interspersed them. You interspersed the Mac and Superfly with Bruce Lee, and I loved the answers that we got when I asked why did he get that status, and a lot of it's business, but I think a lot of it's cultural. Yeah, I made that point that someone brought up that the footwork has a relationship to black dance, and I didn't get to ask our man here. I'll ask you, do you think Bruce Lee could have become what he's become if he hadn't had the Oakland experience? Because he's got some Oakland shit that's very germane. The Seattle stuff's interesting.
Well, I mean, I think the diversity of America, right? I mean, that probably influenced him, and Oakland is a very diverse part of America, and it's got its own I mean, the Bay Area, it's got its own history of civil rights and kind of cultural melting pot kind of thing. I don't know. I mean, I think Jeff is right though. Like coming to the West Coast is probably different than the East Coast because I think we're slightly less established out here. You're not going up against the sort of hard-walled institutions and attitudes of people. I think people on the West Coast are maybe a little more forgiving in their beliefs and such, a little more open-minded, and so that might have helped. I mean, as closed-minded as the people that he would come across too in Hollywood or whatnot, but there's a little more give out here on the West Coast, I feel like, and that might have helped his development.
Mm-hmm. I think it's interesting. He had major moments in Seattle, and Oakland, and San Francisco, L.A. Kind of skipped over Portland.
I would, like a lot of people. I don't blame him.
Man, don't badmouth Portland. He's coming to Powell's in November. Jeff is.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
I'm going to try to be there and support, but he's done so much good work. And again, it's hard not to be jealous of someone like him. He's had so much success, but we had a great kind of intermingling relationship in the past. People like him and Jazzbo, Joseph Patel, who produces Questlove stuff like Summer of Soul and the Sly Stone movie. It was a really great sort of intermingling, because I do count DJ Shadow in there. There were these people who were putting their minds together in a way that was so different from Los Angeles. And I would say for them even, it was different from the Bay Area hip-hop of that time.
Right.
Go ahead.
Oh, well, I was going to say is like I don't feel like that school of hip hop ever gets the respect they deserve. The DJ Shadow, Black Alicious, Lyrics Born. Like I feel like they don't come up in terms of the Bay Area legends like you think. Like everyone just thinks of like E40 and Too Short and Mac Dre, but like that Bay Area scene was diverse and hip and tough. I mean, those guys could take down anybody,
Yeah. No, I wish it were more celebrated. All they have is good records, and I always think about Black Alicious. That group doesn't exist anymore. I just thought it was so underrated. It was coming up at the time when gangster stuff was so huge that it was always in the shadow of that, even in San Francisco and the Bay Area. Yeah. But do you want to go back to Jeff right now? Do you want to have that conversation?
Yeah, let's hear from Jeff because we don't.
Yeah, we're just talking smack.
And our guest on this sojourn is American Book Award winner. You won that, didn't you?
Yeah.
National Book Award winner.
No, not the National Book Award.
Okay.
I was on the selection committee one year though for that. That was wild.
Jeff Chang, noted author, successful author, and the book that we are loving right now. You know that we're loving this. I don't think we talked about that. we're loving Water Mirror Echo, and because we love Bruce Lee. How you doing, dude?
Man, I'm great. I'm so happy to be, especially with the two of you, because it's been so long. We have so many like stories together, and I just have a really nice warm feeling. My vibe is like book tour. Can I curse, by the way?
You totally can curse. You can fucking curse.
Book tours are fucking boring, and like so for me, it's like I would rather just get with homies as much as possible. So being here with you all is a super treat, and I'm so happy to be here with you guys.
Well, thanks so much.
Happy to have you, man.
I want to, I'm going to start by taking you back in time to, like, this is even before we knew each other. I was telling Lev, I just realized today we had college radio shows at the same time. I was at Fresno State, and you were doing yours at KDVS.
KDVS. Wow. Okay. What were the call letters that, remind me?
KFSR, Fresno.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. But you had this incredible collection of people who connected to your radio show. And I didn't even know the extent of it until I started researching it. How did your show end up being like this collection of talent?
It was, I was so lucky to be super bored and working in I was working in the California State Legislature. I was super bored and, if not upset most of the time because of Sacramento. And, you know, it's no different these days than it was back then. Back then, it was no different than it is these days. And so I was like, get me out of here. And so I went over to the station at UC Davis because I had done college radio at Cal, at UC Berkeley, at the infamous, notorious, amazing CalX, during the 80s, during sort of peak college radio days.
My dad was a DJ there briefly in the 60s.
Yeah, I think we were talking about this one time. CalX is just amazing. So I went over to KDVS, and there was a really amazing culture there, and I kind of fast-talked my way into having a show. And I just happened to start the show when a cohort of brilliant young rappers and producers were coming to UC Davis. There's a cat that was named Josh Davis from Davis, who would later come to be known as DJ Shadow, and he had been tuning into the hip hop radio shows on KDVS for years, and I was like the latest iteration of that, and so he came in. Chief XL, who had a friend named the Gifted Gab.
Rest in peace.
Both from Sacramento, yes, may he rest in peace. Chief XL came in, Xavier came in, Tom Shimura came in from Berkeley, who became Lyrics Born. He was Asia born at the time. And then a year or two later, a guy named Latif Dalman, Latif the True Speaker, came in. And another cat who was down with us was Joseph Patel, who has gone on to become an Oscar winner with Questlove on Summer of Soul and Sly Lives. And that was our crew. And it was literally like, I happened to be playing hip hop. They happened to be bored and like wanting an outlet. And so we all met through the radio show, and it was amazing. It was it's one of the biggest blessings of my life. Yeah.
How did you all, there's so many different disciplines involved there. Obviously, Shadow probably got the most fame first, and Black Alicious, but, Jazzbo, and I didn't even know Joseph Patel was Jazzbo's name. I only knew him as Jazzbo all the time. You guys all were so different, but there's something connecting you. Did you influence each other in those Soulside days?
Oh, yeah. I think I was probably the ideologue. I was definitely a political ideologue, and I was sort of an aesthetic ideologue too. I was kind of almost Stalinistic and like, oh, I won't listen to Too Short and blah, 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 blah. And,
I remember those days.
A month or two of hanging out with those guys, and I'm listening to Mac Mall and Mac Mill and the Mac and all of them, and Mac Dre. It was lots of fun because everybody was different, and the diversity of even the way they approach the music. You could see at first they were kind of like they were a little leery of each other. They were all kind of protective of themselves and the beats that they were pulling from the library to go listen in the sound booths and stuff. And after a month or two, I was like, man, you guys are stupid. Like, what are you guys doing? Let's just crew up and put out some records or whatever. And they're all like, they're all hanging out with each other anyways. But it was the kind of thing where after maybe a couple of weeks, they're like, yeah, let's do it. And then it was like, it was on. And the thing about it, right? Like, I love that you brought up the diversity of the crew, because you would hear it in the freestyle sessions, like we'd have these epic sessions where we just go to somebody's house and get, doubles and rock that. And everybody would take a turn on the mic, and everybody was influencing each other, but everybody also had distinct and different types of styles. And that's actually what taught me a lot about how to approach hip hop journalism at the time. Because like you were writing, Donnell, and like everybody, like Cheo was writing, our good friend Cheo Coker was writing, and all these other folks, we were all writing for all these zines. And we would read each other, and everybody had different styles. But by becoming sort of part of this weird monastic order of folks who were like starving all week so we could go to the show on the weekend, we learned a lot from each other. Yeah. I learned a lot. I learned about interviewing techniques from Cheo, from watching Cheo, I learned how to write by looking at you and and all these other types of folks. And, that's just sort of how it was a beautiful era in that way.
A beautiful era. I in the research today, I had a memory provoked, and I don't know if you remember, I had this piece in the Guardian about rappers and writers and the Source having this conflict, and people were carrying guns in the office. You remember Carter Harris, for example? That's a name from back in the day.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, but I forgot this kid came in who did the cover, and it was Eighth Wonder. It was Shadow's buddy, his homie. Wasn't he around with you guys at that very beginning?
Totally. Yeah. Stan was there. Stan had designed all of DJ Shadow's tapes, mixtape, like back when mixtapes were really mixtapes. And he designed all of our earliest records. It's funny. I was hanging out with Shadow the other day, and he had driven down from Marin. He's all like, here, check out this tape I was listening to in the car. He still has it hooked up. He's got like the most advanced car. He still has it hooked up so he can play cassettes or whatever. And he pulled out a cassette, and I think it had like, it was just a bunch of 80s songs on it and stuff. And Thank You for Letting Me Be Myself was on there too. But I was looking at the handwriting on it, and it was Stan's handwriting, and I was just like, wow, like, it really takes me back. But yeah, everything was, what is the word for it these days? Everything was like, it was like Etsy-esque, right? Everything was hand done. Everything was hand styles, and Stan defined that look for us and for Dave Paul's magazine, The Bomb, for a while. Yeah, he really.
I wrote for The Bomb back in the day. I remember that very proudly. I actually, Lev, I wrote for a zine up here, like a physical zine, just because I'd written for those back in the day. A big part of my life. It's funny, we're talking about all this. It's not necessarily Bay Area stuff. It kind of became associated with it. But one of the things I love about your book is that it is like a West Coast sojourn for Bruce Lee. Has moments in all of the places of importance, except maybe Portland. When I was reading, I was thinking, could this story have happened anywhere else in the country? And I'll let you go with it from there.
No, it couldn't have. Part of the story is sort of Bruce coming to the U.S. right at this inflection point where the counterculture is beginning to take off. Like, it's after On the Road and sort of in the moment